When breathing in and out, one will recognize how your breathing self-regulates. And when you hold your breath, you will begin to feel how that feels to hold your breath. This is because chemoreceptors in your medulla, aorta, and carotid arteries monitor the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide is in your blood and cerebrospinal fluid. As you let the breath out, you want to breathe in again quickly. And this is because your oxygen levels are a little low and your body wants more. As you take in another really deep breath, what you will notice is that as you breathe in more and more and your lungs expand, your lungs start to get tight because you can't breathe in anymore and you let it out. This is because there are receptors that tell you when your lungs are stretching just at the limit. And those are just some of the self-regulatory mechanisms of the lungs. And I didn't go into much depth on the lungs. Every process in your body is connected and regulated by other processes. When you eat, you feel full. And sometimes you can feel full on some things but still hungry on other things. Like being full and not wanting any more sugar, but still wanting protein and fat. And so the self-regulatory mechanisms of your digestive organs are a bit sophisticated. So what's my point? My point is that you cannot calculate all of these things. We like to think that we, whatever the I is in control of the body, and that the body merely sends signals to the brain, and there are automatic processes, but mainly it's the brain that's in charge. But this is not the case, as the body is functioning for the most part without the brain sending signals at all. And this includes the entire nervous system, which is just an extension of the brain. Even after the brain dies, nails and hair continue to grow, and the cells will continue to work anaerobically. That the body continues to function in this way after death is seen to many as trivia. But I connect it to a deeper principle. And that is just how everything emerges from things at lower levels. A self-evident fact perhaps, but too many people fail to understand the implications of emergence. There is no way that the brain could manage things like DNA transcription and translation or the reproduction of cells. And so while we like to think of our body as a top-down order controlled by the brain, it's really quite bottom-up, which means the brain is an emergent planner with a rather limited, more of a frame-setting role. For the sake of daily function and economic analysis, we collapse this complexity and treat human aggregates as singular entities, single people. The brain does not exist above the body, though it may seem that way at times, though it is sucking a copious amount of resources from the body to serve this planning function. And the more advanced species have much larger planning functions, brains, a sign that in some instances this large planning function is worth the price in calories. In combat, having a large brain may help, and in humans, it's good because it allows humans to forge great weapons, but the brain sucks up a lot of resources. And so a fight against certain apes without any weapons, humans would be at a disadvantage. In theory, you could have animals that have a large brain and a large chunk of the brain that can be removed temporarily during combat, to where the animal's thought processes are downgraded and simplified for combat mode. Part of the brain is removed during combat. Or the animal can have this large brain, and this large brain allows the animal to build up a high standard of living. But it doesn't take much brain power to sustain the standard of living once it is achieved. And perhaps this animal could remove a large chunk of the brain that is using resources once this high standard of living is achieved, or whatever it considers a high standard of living. Then the animal with less brains can work more efficiently within the current structure of production. But this animal without the brain power can't make any greater structure of production. Imagine what would have happened if 100 years ago people were satisfied with their current standard of living and decided to remove a large chunk of their brain. So, should we remove the capitalist? Or should we try to understand the capitalist?